Hello, welcome to the video. Today I'm going to show you how I made a VTuber. Small disclaimer, I have only made one other VTuber and I still don't know what I'm doing, so please be a bit patient. Also, this is definitely not a tutorial, but if you're looking for one, I recommend Merely Wu Fei's series. They're amazing and definitely saved this project a few times. I'll leave a link to their channel in the description if you want to check it out. So, a bit ago, I actually did make a VTuber, but I have a few problems with it. Number one, the art style. I don't think it looks bad, but I definitely could have added a lot more detail, and I just think I could do better. And number two, I know a little bit more about the software after failing so much. I'm using Live 2D Cubism, which I believe is what most people use to make their VTubers. It is a bit confusing at first, but I think I get the gist of it now. I'm gonna be using this VTuber mostly in maybe some like Minecraft videos, if I make some, or just whenever I get the chance. Okay, with that out of the way, it's time to start drawing the model. So this time I wanted to do a mostly full body. I say mostly because I didn't do the feet. Don't judge, but I'm not the best at drawing them. I knew I wanted the model to be with my character Lunar, and I also wanted to add more detail to the hair. Originally, I drew them in their trench coat, but later I decided not to do it. When doing the line art, I split each part up into different layers, and this is how the model is going to be able to move later on. I did get a bit impatient and started the coloring and rendering before I finished the line art because I really wanted to see how it would look. I also gave them more piercings than usual, especially a pair of snake bites, because I think they're so cool and I really love how they look. I then finally move on to the torso, where I drew their sleeveless turtleneck. I knew I wanted to have their muscles showing from beneath the fabric, but I did struggle a bit because I don't usually draw that sort of anatomy. I did get there in the end though, and I'm really happy with how it came out. The next thing I did was the arms. Since I have a more simplified style, I also don't usually draw the muscles on them, so it was kind of new, but I do really love how it ended up. And then afterwards, I finally did the hair. I put it off a bit because it was intimidating to try to render it in a more sort of VTuber-esque style, because all of their hair is so pretty. It's just absolutely gorgeous. At first, I tried to copy the shading of something I saw, but I didn't really like how it was working with the rest of it, so eventually I just did my own thing, and I really like how it came out. I almost forgot their horns and added them on right at the end. Now with the drawing done, it's time to import it into Live 2D Cubism and add some movement to this guy. To import it into Live 2D, I just drag the file in and it starts working. It took a bit to load. My poor computer was fighting for its life throughout this whole project. After it successfully loaded, I added a standard mesh to everything and then began rigging the eyes. It was a bit of a struggle because they have heterochromia, so I couldn't just copy paste the iris. Although one thing I did learn from my last attempt was to make a large upper and lower eyelid. The eye rigging took me a surprisingly short amount of time, maybe around an hour. Here's what I got done. They can now blink, widen their eyes, as well as smile and look around. I'm really proud of how it looks, even though it's so simple. After the eyes, I moved on to the head XY rigging. This is what will allow the model to look around. I'll be honest, this was probably the most tedious part of the whole project. Trying to make it look convincing while also keeping the lines from distorting into weird things was kind of a challenge. The nose is vital to making the model turn believably, so I had to be really deliberate with the placement. Most of this was just moving the head back and forth and tweaking little things. After I finished the left and right turns, I moved on to the up and down. It looks really weird at first, but you gotta trust the process. I didn't want to deform the mouth yet because I learned from my last model that if you deform it too much here, then when you make the other mouth shapes, it'll just look really cursed. So the mouth looks a bit odd right now, but that will soon change. Mouth rigging. First, I made a new mesh for the upper and lower lips. Some of the tools were being weird, so I did most of it manually. There was probably an easier way to do this, but I didn't really feel like scouring the internet for it. I then started to deform the lips using a line tool, while roughly following this mouth chart from Merely Wufei. If you haven't, you should really check out their channel. They're an amazing artist and VTuber creator. Anyways, I started with the smiling open mouth, then once I finished that, I moved on to the neutral open mouth, then the angry open mouth. After that, I made the other shapes and in-betweens, as well as the smile. I also made sure to move the snake bites so that they were moving naturally with the mouth. After I finished with that, I made sure it looked good from the other head angles and tweaked it a bit depending on where it looked strange. After the mouth, I started working on the body. I animated the chest moving left, right, up, and down, and I made the arms move slightly based on the chest as well. When the chest moves down, I made the arms bend slightly, and when the chest moves up, I made them straighten out a bit, just to give it a slightly more natural movement, so that they aren't just sitting there. After finishing up pretty much all the movement, it was time to work on physics. I'm using the free version of Live 2D, so I was pretty limited when it came to this aspect, since I could only add 3 parameters to each object. I still think it looks good in the end though, and I added physics to the necklace and earrings as well as the hair. The final step was to shove everything into a texture map. Since I'm using the free version, there's a limit on how big it can be, and I can only make 1. So I had to sacrifice the quality of a few things in order to Tetris fit them all into the little space. For some reason, my recording doesn't show me making the texture map, but just know it was really, really painful and it took over an hour. But this is how it ended up looking. And with that, it's finally time to import my model into VTube Studio and show you all the results. I am so happy with how this guy came out. He looks so good. He definitely turned out better than my previous model, which is very good, and I can't wait to use him in future videos. So, speaking of future videos, I've been thinking about doing a hardcore Minecraft series, or maybe redesigning some of my old characters, so let me know in the comments what you guys want to see, and I'll do my best. Surprisingly, this model only took me 4 days to make, which is very nice. I was expecting it to take a whole lot longer, although it did take me a year to edit this video, so I don't know what that says about me. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later. Bye!